Okay, so it is recording. I'll just edit this after the fact, but we are recording.
Cool.
So
We're live,
unfortunately,
pal.
we're gonna have to do it recorded. My apologies, brother.
No, we're not live.
We're not live,
We're
unfortunately.
not live. We're
We're
recorded,
not
pal.
live. The funny part, I'm just gonna leave this as this. So everyone that is watching, unfortunately, we tried to do this live. We tried a few times. um, the internet, I guess, is not on our favor. So unfortunately, we are not live, but we are recording this. It will be out as soon as I can post it if the internet allows it. So you might not even see this episode. Who knows? If,
What's up with the internet, huh? I keep hearing about Facebook and all that going down. Like,
I don't know what's happening today,
proof.
but
This is proof. The proof is in the pudding, my friend.
we are here. We are here, but let me do the proper intro because we have a very special guest here. So what's going on, everyone? We are back with another edition of Respect the Craft. This is episode number 302, and I'm joined here by a man with many names. He was once one bad hombre, the golden draw. He was the artist. He is the fire starter himself, Jake Crist. What's going on, brother? How's everything, man?
Rocking and rolling and enjoying life. How are you, my friend?
I am good. Unfortunately, not too happy with this right now. That unfortunately we couldn't. We tried multiple times here. I'm so sorry to just waste your time a little bit here because
My
we've been.
plan is to give you such an amazing interview that we come back live tomorrow for 303.
There we go. There we go. But to show everyone again, we have the fire starter here. This is episode number 302. And yeah, man, let's get into it. Before we there we go. Before we get into all the questions and all the conversation I do want to ask and talk about here, I have to start with the question I ask everyone that comes on. You heard the name of the podcast. It's called Respect the Craft. So for you, when you hear that term, the craft, what does that mean to you?
That's what I spent my life doing, perfecting my craft, going to country, state to state, city to city, town to town, getting on the old dusty trail and telling everybody that their mother is a. I'll censor myself. But yeah, no. That's what it's all about is perfecting that craft, learning the craft, putting the miles in. There's so much I could go into that, and that like putting that respect on that. Pow. That's what it's all about. Is the miles, the journey, and that's the thing. You got to take time to smell the roses or the flowers along the way, because next thing you know, you're gonna blink, and you're gonna be 22 years in, just like me. I started at 17 years old. I was a junior in high school, and I blinked, and now I'm 40 years old. I'm 40. Like, look at all that gray.
Hey, but
I
the
love
thing is, 22 years in, and it's one of those where you're aging like fine wine, as they say, and it's just getting better and better as the time goes on, and the matches are getting better, and we're just seeing that experience now. That's all it is. It's years of experience. That's all it is.
it's that grizzled vet, really. Like, it's that season, baby. It's like I went tanning, and I sat in the tanning bed for too long, and now I'm just crispy and I'm cooked. I'm ready to go.
Oh, man. But
Little
as we
Q
like,
gun.
as we
Little,
like to do here, I had to do a little bit of
look at
some
that.
research here.
Hey, little
So this might
season.
make
That's
you
season right there.
this might make you unfortunately feel a little older here because I decided to look up a younger Jake Chris photo here as we looked into the youngest I can find. There was
How did
one more that was a little too blurry. That I was like, I don't know if he'll be able to make fun of it and say that this wasn't even him. You can't tell. So I
I'll be
found the
honest.
clearest.
I'll be honest with you. That photo right there. How do I how do I look younger now than what I did?
I was gonna say that's why when I looked at the dates, I'm like, he kind of looks like you look older there than you do now.
Yeah, no.
So
Throw that picture up again. Let me see
we're
that.
we're gonna
Look at
show one more. Look at
that.
that right there.
You can see the baby fat on them cheeks, but man, look at that. Like, I I am like a fine wine. I just get better with age.
Oh man, that
Wow.
is
I do remember that photo too. I think that was taken, if I'm correctly, in Indianapolis around 2006 for Insanity Pro Wrestling.
gotcha.
I think. I could be wrong.
Might have been. Unfortunately, finding the picture, it did not say where it was taken. It just says it was the earliest I could find. Like I said, that would be clear enough that it's like let's show again the comparison of again early Jake Crist to now seeing those evolutions there.
I think that's like the nature of the business too. If you think
Yeah,
about back then, like 2006, it's just now just been kind of a recent thing where wrestlers will go out of their way and give like a photo credit or like give credit out. Like I should have been doing that like the start of my career. For those of you out there that's taking pictures of me, the photographers out there, like, and I didn't give you shout outs over the years, I'm sorry. I apologize. I make sure I do that now. Like if I use your picture, I'm going to put you over. I'm going to put that photo credit at, boom, whoever it was to take that picture. Because that it's all about respecting the craft,
yeah,
right? Because I respect the shit out of people that come to the shows, takes videos, takes photos like those. Those are the true artists. Like I call myself an artist. Like I feel like we paint with our bodies, especially with the wrestling mat being canvas. We hear that as wrestling fans all the time. These are two masterpieces getting ready to paint on the canvas,
yeah.
and it's the truth. But like, it's behind the scenes of people too. Those photographers out there, like my hats off to you. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. You make me look great.
No, I say that every time I've gotten to speak to someone that is that great into photography. Shout out even with the Revolver team, Sam, who does amazing work.
Oh yeah.
Tussle with his shots at times where when even again the great
My boy
cinematography that he
Tussle.
does.
Oh,
But
I love my boy Tussle. Oh, I love you, boy. If you watching this, I know we're not live, but I hope you end up watching this, Tussle. I love you, bro.
no, he's definitely after the fact that again, to everyone, like we said, we know what we're gonna do. We're gonna make sure we definitely do this again very soon. So we do it live. So that way everyone can see us live in there. We'll see next time because Sammy said he's coming back. We're gonna see if we get you both on so we can have a little.
Like maybe we'll do a draw and golden draw episode together.
There
Maybe
we
we
go. We'll do
together we can see who has the better Sammy.
we'll do one of those. We'll do one of those. So Sammy, we're telling you now, we're gonna do a little draw and golden draw episode coming soon, coming soon.
Let's do
But
it.
as we do that again, we go through the evolutions here. You mentioned it. You once the artist Jake Chris. So talk us through again the mindsets of going through those evolutions and going through the different characters for yourself. How is that process for you?
So around 12 years in, I started trying to think like, okay, I'm the meat and the potatoes is I need to grab some sizzle to me. So I started trying to think like outside the box, and I was booking Rockstar Pro Wrestling at the time, and like wrestling can only get you so far. I feel like like you can be one of the best wrestlers in the world. Like I still take a lot of pride and honor in doing and learning all the different genres of professional wrestling, like death match to just getting down to pure wrestling. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm one of the very few in the world that can do and that is willing to do a real life death match. I mean, like get built, and you know what I mean by real death match. Real fans know what I mean by that. But anyways, I digress. Let me get back on the track here.
Nope, all good, man. All
I
good.
was I sometimes I get sidetracked and I'll like start to head down a trail, but eventually I try to make like a U-turn and get us back on track. But anyways, I'm gonna cut myself off before I get too into that. I was booking Rockstar Pro Wrestling, and
Gotcha.
the wrestling like Jake Crist wrestler like really wasn't like it was getting over, but like I felt like I could have been more over, especially being the booker, like I step back and I try to let the ones around me become the stars and stuff, but then eventually it's like, okay, what can I do? How can I make my product better? Like, why am I keeping myself off shows? Like, so it's like, how can I make this? What do I need to do as a character? And like, I was actually taking a couple years off at that point. Like, I did a whole like retirement thing. Like, I was getting burnt out. Like,
Gotcha.
still, luckily, knock on wood, I been wrestling for 22 years, no injuries. I haven't taken more than a month off in 22 years. Like, your favorite wrestler can't even say that. Like, Bret Hart can't say that. Shawn Michaels can't say that. Undertaker can't say that. Like, whoever, Ric Flair can't say that. Like, I've, knock on wood, I feel like that makes me and puts me in a league of my own. And it's not like I've not taken risk. I do death matches. I've wrestled for Combat Zone Wrestling. Look over the match I just had with Palmer. Like, I wrestle Alex Colon with light tubes. It's not like I don't take risk, but like um, I, I I came back and I was like, how can I make my show better? I need a character like the rest, just like, because I was wrestling in trunks. I was like doing that kind of thing. And like, I was taking the 2 years off. I did like a whole retirement thing because I was about to have a second child. So, like, how close I became with my fans of in Dayton, I built this whole summer like tour up. I actually came out to Dream On, to Arrow. It was awesome, man. Every show it was like just banger after banger until I led up to the final show, and like within that time, like it was I was taking time off of like the road too, so it
Gotcha.
actually looked believable as a fan. Like, holy shit, like Jake Crist is retiring, he's leaving. Like, we got to come to Dayton to see. It was a great way to um, get attendance up in the summer times, like
Gotcha.
especially in that building, because it's like there was always a dip. So it was like, as a booker, you always want your shows to get bigger and better as far as attendance goes. So it was like, how can I spike this? Boom. This is a great opportunity. Boom. I'm going to use real life situations. I'm going to blur the lines a little bit and I'm going to come off the road. So, like, I came off the road except for Rockstar. I just did every Wednesday and the first Friday every month. And I did that
Nice.
for 2 years. And I was talking to a friend and he goes, hey, and I was like, I was pondering like this character. It's like, like, I want to do a Prince like character. Like, what can I call myself? Blah, 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 blah. And like, I was talking to someone and I hadn't talked to in like 2 years. Like, what have you been up to? I was like, oh, I'm trying to learn, how to paint. I'm trying to, learn how to play the guitar. I bought like a guitar, with an amp and all that electric guitar. It was awesome. It's awesome. All black, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, look at you just being a little artist that you are. And it just, boop. I
It
was like,
clicks.
that's it. That's how I could wrap it all around. And back then I was doing things that like wasn't that you didn't see,
Yeah.
especially like CZW, and like, because I took that character and I went everywhere with it. Like, I tried to, that was the first time I tried to like break off on my own.
No,
Well,
that definitely. I remember because I think one of the first times I got to see that was, I think your return against Sammy when you guys feuded there with that character
yeah,
and seeing
it
that, and
was
it was a different reaction at
so,
CZW.
to even put a little bit more backstory with that CZW, because I think it was like Best of the Best, wasn't it? It was like one of
I want to say it was.
it
Yeah,
was
I
I
want to
think
say it
it
was
was
best.
Best of the Best. It was like a big show. Like, I was a surprise. Like, I at that point I did some really cool things with CZW. I felt like I was wired champion.
Yep.
Like, I wrestled Danny Havoc in some sweet death matches. Like, he really taught me a lot about just wrestling and just like deathmatch wrestling. He was one of the smartest individuals I ever ran across. Like Danny, rest in peace, my friend. I love you, my friend. But I remember having great things with him. And then like I was ready to come back because like that was my thing. Like the backstory was like I wanted to come off the road until my youngest was independent enough to like, to help my wife out.
Gotcha.
I just didn't want to like the first one. I Brooklyn. I just kind of like I was a kid raising a kid, and
Gotcha.
so I was so driven and focused on wrestling and like making in this wrestling industry to like, 'cause not knowing it then being a kid, like now being 40 years old, I think every man comes to this realization in their life that the stuff that they learn they want to pass off, and that's how their legacy goes on, and that's how they start to live forever. So it's kind of like what I was doing. So it's kind of like a kid raising a kid. And so like I felt the second time around was my second chance with my youngest. So I wanted to do things right and proper by every.
Gotcha.
So I waited like 2 years so she could walk and like eat by herself and start, communicating verbally what she wanted, and kind of like being independent. I wanted her to be more independent so I could start to like leave the nest myself and start to take these other bookings. And that CZW best was the first outside booking of Rockstar that I did. And I told DJ, told Sammy, I was like, dude, I think this would be awesome, just with the history that we have, the character, like, and just go sit in the middle of the ring, and I'll give you a kiss on the lips. So it was like that became like a thing. I was like the art, like what's Jake Crist gonna do? I had people believing, just it was great. It was an amazing time as developing that character and just realizing that wrestling can be much cooler than just getting in there and doing the moves.
Yeah, no, definitely. To be able to find something like that, like you said, he's already with over a decade experience in there to then be like, let's reinvent, but also do something that hasn't been seen, especially at that time frame, and to
Like
do it
you
in a
gotta think,
time.
like this was before Velveteen Dream
Yep.
and Nakamura became the artist.
Yeah.
Like
No,
this
that's what I'm
before
saying. There
all.
was never seen to see something like that to go as just very eccentric with the character and to be able to do something that it's like it brings a different side that has been seen of you. But I also have to ask this though, when it comes to that, was there ever that point, especially when you're going into your second child now, you're going in that stage of fatherhood where you're like, you know what? I think I'm getting comfortable in this. Maybe I should just do the one, two bookings and then that's it. Was there ever that point for you, or was it a thing of like, no, you knew I have to get back eventually to the road?
I knew eventually I had to get back
Okay.
eventually to the road because it always comes back to legacy. Like I'm one
Okay.
of those like okay, so like I broke into 2002.
Yeah.
So like, seeing from the business how it was then to now, like I was wrestling the way I wrestle now back then and getting shit all over, and the veterans in the back. Like I remember getting punished. I remember having to do Hindu squats, for doing a moonsault to the outside in the first couple minutes, of the match. Because that's a later move. If not, it should have been a finish, kid. You know what I mean? It's just like to see the evolution of the business and the growth of the where it was in 2002 to where it is today is great. And I'm just glad being 40 years old, being 22 years in, that like I'm just going along with the will. Because when that's where I feel like the old timers get stuck in their ways and in their past, and if they don't adapt and move on with the business is gonna leave you by. It's like think about
Definitely.
it. Like Lou Thez thought Harley Race wasn't a good NWA champion. You know what I mean? And then you look back at like oh wow, look, Harley Race was one of the greatest NW. And
Yep.
this is different eras of
Yep.
professional wrestling, and like you should know your history, and you should know, and that's respecting your craft too. Going back to the beginning of the podcast,
Yeah,
like you got to know your history,
definitely.
know your history of how the greats that came before you, and know why that they did the things that they did, so we don't repeat the same mistakes. Look at we're still trying to recover from like the 80s, like them hot shotting those territories because Vince coming in and killing off every territory. So if you think about it, like that was the downfall of like wrestling and the business in general.
Yeah.
So like, anyways, getting off
No,
that,
it
getting off
I
on
love it because it's one of those where again, this is what you want from a podcast. You want it to go different directions, but it leads to the great conversation here. Because like we said, it's finding that way back though. It was one of those
it's
because you had
always
all
coming.
this, you have to come back to the road.
You always got to come back to that road, but like that's to not get passed by,
Yeah.
to get back on track to where we were, to not get passed by, to adapt with the business and move with it, not move against it. That's what I've learned in the 22 years. And I think it's just because of like the way I wrestle now is the way I wrestled when I was 17 years old.
No,
So
yeah, it's one of those where like it's perfect that I took this still because it's like you mentioned the moonsault and that back then, and then you're still pulling it off now.
yeah,
And this one just showing just how insane that was. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit, but just I have to talk about that then of the art of deathmatch wrestling because there is a great art to it. What was it for you that got you into that love of that style as well, and to want to not just you know what I love this craft, but also there's a whole nother craft embedded in it as deathmatch wrestling.
CZW. So that's what got me respecting deathmatch wrestling. Coming, I didn't really like you'd hear about hardcore matches and deathmatch wrestling. Like my first deathmatch wrestling match I ever watched was probably the same that most everybody watched. The one from Japan for Terry Funk and Cactus Jack. So like no rope barbed wire, and then you go to Terry Funk and Sabu at ECW. So it's like I kind of had an idea of an inkling of what uh deathmatch wrestling was with those, but like the ultra violent side of deathmatch wrestling, I really had my eyes opened, and in Jersey or Philadelphia with Combat Zone Wrestling, and being a part of that locker room, you kind of get I don't know, it's one of those like us versus all like type like tribalism where it's like I'm fucking tough too. I can hang with with all those deathmatch guys too. So then it's like you start to see your peers do it, and then it's like you start to dabble your toe in the water, and you realize, okay, this water's it's chilly, but I can get used to it.
It's one of those where it's a saying I love now of finding, I guess, that comfortability and uncomfortability, especially in an art form like that. That it's like, yeah, this
It's
is
it's the unpredictability of the object that you're working with too
yeah.
that kind of intrigues me, because I've always been a daredevil. Like I turned 40 July 13th and I jumped out of a plane. So it's like I wanted to skydive, so it was like, oh, I'm going to skydive. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and yes, it's meant to be. So, like, it's kind of like that every time I wrestle in a death match, especially against Alex Colon. He's one of my best friends I've ever met in this industry. I love him to death. I feel like, and I say this, and I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. I feel like every time I wrestle, and I'll probably mention this when we talk about the Palmer match too,
Yeah.
because every time I wrestle Cologne, I seem to shave years off my life. I know I did. It's like one time when I wrestled Cologne, and it was Iowa for Sammy. It was the not the last one we had that was like a barbed wire thing on both sides. It was the one before that was a scaffold match. Like,
Okay, yeah.
he put me in the freaking hospital. I was spending a day in the like, sorry. I drove home. I drove 9 hours home, and I just wasn't feeling right, so I had to go to the hospital. And like, so it's like, yeah, Cologne probably took. And now I'm showing up all cut up. I still have like fluorescent light tube stuck in my back, and they're just looking at me like, what the hell happened to this guy? I had a big gash in my forehead. You can still see to this
Has
day.
to be the awesome thing to explain. Hey, yeah, so I do this for a living. Can you just check me out because I don't feel. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Or you're not gonna feel right when you're bleeding from your side. It's
So it's like you're bleeding from your side or bleeding from your arm or your forehead, and it's like, yeah, I'm here for like my insides hurt. Like, I don't know why. Hurts to pee. I can't pee. There's something wrong, man. And like, she looked me up and down, head to toe. I was like, yeah, there is something wrong, sir. And I was like, ooh, ouch. You're right. There is something wrong because this isn't normal. I should have just walked in here. Like, they're like, so, what do you say you do? You're a professional wrestler? You do this every weekend? Yeah, we're gonna give you a drug test.
but it's that again. It comes down to, no pun intended, the name of the podcast here. It's having that respect for this craft, and it's one of those where I've talked to many that also do that art form of deathmatch, and it's one of those of just hearing how much there is that deeper love for
I
that style because it's that adrenaline rush as well.
That's the big thing too. It's the adrenaline rush of not knowing if you're gonna come out the same way you can, because you're not going
Yeah,
to,
definitely not.
especially if you're playing around with glass or barbed wire. Even with the bare boards match, like
Yeah.
that I'm still feeling that. Like, I got bruised. I'm still recovering from all that. But like with the death match, it's like as soon as you stop, as soon as you start to disrespect the object that you're about to be in there with, I feel like that's when it gets you. It's like,
Gotcha.
I actually like, I'm probably different from everybody else on the deathmatch scene, but like, I actually take like calculated, like I think about it, I make
Gotcha.
it like okay, like a decision. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. All right, sweet. Like, how can I still be able to get to work on Sunday or Monday? How can I still do it? Because that's been my big thing too this whole time. Like, I've had two children I'd support, so it's like being an independent wrestler, even being a wrestler contracted on television for 4 years. Like, I still was working a shoot job for a lot of that time. It wasn't until like the last year and a half or so I quit my job and was able to like just financially survive off wrestling, which was the greatest time in my life, which was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That I really felt like, I did it. I felt like the dream was accomplished.
Yeah.
It just didn't last that long.
Oh man, it's one of those where I think that is the end goal for most. It's doing that to be able to say this is the
Well,
job here.
I remember being bushy tailed and big eyed coming in at 17 years old. And I remember thinking, like, okay, I can't wait to wrestle in Indiana from being in Ohio. And then it's like, oh, I
Yeah.
can't wrestle in Michigan. And then you get those few little, you cross those off. And then it's like, okay, now I got a goal of getting on a plane. Now I don't even want to touch or go near an airport. You know, oh, I can't wait to get an airfare, a hotel, a car, and there's like God, I want to quit traveling. It's crazy how that works. The Sammy's one of those guys too. As we were just talking about this on one of our last road trips. I think we're both on the same boat where we would rather just drive to shows. If it's like 8, 9 hours, we'll drive. Anything over, it's like, okay, well, now we gotta get up early in the morning and go. It sucks.
I think there's a thing about it that is just like, you know what? Yeah, that drive just feels a little better. But
It's
then
the
when it gets to those crazy hours, it's like, now we got to wake up early for this flight because there's no way.
But I mean, I also remember doing crazy drives. I remember having a packed Honda Civic, and we went from Dayton to Phoenix, Arizona. It's 32 hours one way. It was a Dragon Gate USA show. That was a crazy drive. And then I realized in Phoenix that, oh, wow, I'm going to be late for work. So I drove like just 100 miles an hour as fast as I could the whole way across country. I was like a couple hours late to work. I called my wife. I was like, babe, meet me at Wright State with my uniform. I'm not gonna make it at home. I'm gonna be 2 hours late. No shower, no nothing, just straight off the road. 32 hours is dragging myself out of the car and did a 10-hour shift. Unloading.
Talk about Jesus. Talk about commitment to your craft there. But it pains me to ask: was there anyone else in the car, or was it just you doing 32?
Oh no! It was a packed car. It was a bunch of us. Moxley was there. It was a crazy.
I would love to hear their stories of watching you go mad driving back.
Oh yeah. Oh, they knew how pissed I was because like once the light bulb clicked in my head, that was like, oh shit, I'm gonna be and that the reason I just wasn't mad because I was gonna be late to work. I was also mad because the Dragon Gate USA show didn't draw, and I was supposed to get like I think it was like $150, for the show, and ended up getting stiffed. I got nothing. I got a big goose egg.
Oh, okay.
So it was like, I'm not gonna pay any of the transfers because I was the only one that had my shit together. I was the only one that had credit card. I was the only one that had a debit card. So it was like people were relying on me. I put the hotel in my name, all that shit, and it was just I looked at Mox as Mox got paid, and I was like. Well, buddy, looks like you got gas because I'm not paying for gas on the way home. So he ended up taking care of all the gas. It was like everybody, like nobody got paid. Moxley ended up using his money to get us home from Phoenix. So it just was a horrible, horrible experience.
Jeez.
But one of those experiences that make you who you are.
Yeah, that definitely again is one of those where you learn, unfortunately, how the road can be, and
you learn how the wrestling industry can be. This isn't just some little independent wrestling.
No, this is Dragon.
This was Gabe. This was the booker that booked me in Ring of Honor. For all those years. Like this is the same guy. So it's not like it was a big eye opener to realize that that promoters weren't going to take care of the boys like they say they're going to take care of the boys.
Yeah, that is definitely. This is why I asked earlier that it's like, are you sure there wasn't that moment of like, you know what? I think I'm good just doing the one book.
There was a ton of moments like that, but like I'm too dumb to realize and read them, I guess. And it's like,
no, there's always gonna be that thing that it's like, you know what? I love this too much to walk away. Because I've definitely had that. I've had those moments that it's like, I think I'm good. And then it's like, nope, I get pulled back into it.
bro, okay, like pulling back the curtain a little bit, bro. I go through that like every 6 months or so. Like
Yeah,
I was just like, oh, okay, man. If me and Palmer are it, and that's going to be the last match of my career, I'm cool with that. I thought that going into Dayton, like, oh, this might be my last thing. I turned to Bob, because Bob's my boy, and I like
yep,
Bob. Like it was the last road trip. Because I kind of taken this last year just doing Revolver, and I did a little bit of stuff with MLW. But like I've this whole year I've tried to just focus on uh, my physical and just mental health,
gotcha.
So like, I've tried to just scale back on the bookings because I was for the last 22 years I've taken anything and everything coming down the pike, and you get burnt out, and like you get tired of coming out the trash bag curtains, and you get tired of, oh, this guy forgot the bottom turnbuckle, so we're only going to have 2 ropes for this show, guys. And then you get in the ring, and then half the ring sinks because the weld broke in one of the the cross beams of the bottom. So it it's those situations where it's like, yeah, I do want to just quit. Why am I
Yeah,
doing this? And then you have matches like I did with Palmer, and those were the ones, as soon as you think you're out, they pull you
just put,
back. Same thing with the artist. Like I could have been out with when I had Johnny. I could have straight been out, like, and not, there was halfway in that, like about a year and a half into that, I thought to myself, okay, I could just be content on trying to learn how to paint and learn how to play the guitar. I'm cool with that. Like it, and then it's just you start to see things. It's like, oh man, like I still got it in me. Like what? And then you have a banger. I had a banger at Rockstar. There was actually a match that I had with Kevin. There was Kevin Sullivan was there. It was a match I had with Ron Mathis. And
yeah.
Kevin Sullivan said it was one of the best matches he's ever seen. It was a great mixture between the new style and the old school way of coming. Like I brought Kevin in a ton. I have a ton of crazy Kevin Sullivan stories. I remember sitting in when I was drinking. I remember sitting in my car with him, just sharing drinks of Jack Daniels, and he just put me over for my mind of the business. I'm not going to say exactly what he said because
No,
that's
no,
just,
of course that is. Yeah,
but like, and I really feel like what he said, like a lot of people wouldn't believe it, and they'd be like, "Oh, Jake's lying," blah blah
yeah,
blah.
yeah.
Like it was, I'm not going to mention what he said. It was an awesome compliment, and like if you go back in the history of Rockstar, you could see how many times Kevin Sullivan came to our shows, and he wasn't. I We couldn't really pay him that much, so there's a reason why he wanted to be there, guys. Like we're running every Wednesday and first Friday every month. Like, there's reasons why there was huge names like Sullivan and Dreamer, Rhino, like all those ECW dudes. Like they came and loved Rockstar on Third Street. It was awesome. But yeah, like those were what were we talking about again?
We went from again that just finding that moment of like after getting stiff, like nope, I still
Yeah,
want to do this. I still want to be in
yeah,
here
but
and finding those reasons.
those are some of the stories that keep you back in too. As soon as you
Yeah,
think you're out, you remember stories that you have. Just
yeah.
sharing a bottle of Jack, with and Kevin Sullivan fucking warned me. We're sitting there drinking. He goes, kid, I know you like your Jack, like, but don't let it take advantage of you.
Yeah.
Don't go down the dark path. And like, fuck, I ended up going down that dark path, and luckily I was able to kick it. But like, I wish I would have listened to him when we were just passing it in the fifth of Jack in the car. Like, I wish I would have listened. I wish I would have just put it down right then. If I would have known
Yeah.
what I know today, I would have.
No, again, it's that hindsight's 2020. Just
It's
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 again
one of those
going through it. It's one of those you have to go through it in order to learn
You
from it, you
start
know?
to hang out with the peers and the boys at the TV, and it's like you start drinking, and it's like next thing you know, you're bringing that shit home. That was my problem. And then it's like you wake up, and to me, my big wake up call on all that, I walked past my full length mirror in my bedroom, and I didn't recognize the gentleman I was staring in the mirror. It was like 140 plus pounds or 240 plus pounds. I had like titties and a big ass beer belly. It was a crazy shitty time for me. So looking back at all that, I wish I would have listened to him. But again, those are one of those stories that bring you back and make you love this business and make you continue to push on and want to pursue. And now, at this point in life, and just in as far as wrestling is concerned, is I may not have money or like the fame or whatever to show for it. Now I just want to pass off on my like I want my legacy to continue. Like I want to pass off my knowledge to the younger generations and say, hey, this is what you should look out for. This is what you need to do. This is what and and I feel like that's how you help the business. Is I'm big in the business. You should try to leave this business better than when you found it. So like that's what I'm trying to do at this point, and being 22 years and a world traveler, former world and X Division champions. So like yeah.
We had that there just in case to talk a little bit about that golden draw. But no, it's one of those where I think that should be the goal for most, especially when you respect this craft, when you're in this for so long, is to make sure it is better than when you got into it and to be able to help that next generation and pave that way for those. And again, for myself, it was one of the main things when I asked you if you could be on. I said it would be an honor to speak with you because that name, Jake Crist, does mean something. You know, I grew up watching you guys. Like I said,
I
watching
appreciate
you, watching Sammy. It's one of those of seeing what you guys did and continue to do. Like I said, there's a reason now you're aging like fine wine because we look at this young man right here, but then we look at this guy right here who's still killing it, still doing his thing. And then we see him right here, the bloody mess, but
it.
still, again, still kicking, still going strong, and has a championship match in 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks at this point.
Lindsay, I'm coming for you. What? Hold on. He's a great competitor.
You know what? Let's pull up the tweet now that we're recording this. So if it's all good, I'm gonna pull up the tweet that Lindsay said that you would be saying verbatim.
Say word for word.
Because I love this. It was the funniest thing when I announced that we're gonna be doing this episode. Lindsay's like, "Oh, this is what he's gonna say, verbatim here." So just give us 1 sec, ladies and gentlemen. Again, let's see. Where is this Lindsay tweet? Okay, he says, "This is what you're gonna say. Here's how the interview is going to go. He's gonna put me over and say I'm one hell of a competitor, and now he's gonna go home the new champion."
Lindsay is one hell of a competitor. I mean, if you look at his body of work, he is phenomenal. He's really, really great in that ring. I think he gives an amazing value, brings a prestige to the remix title. But I'm coming home. I'm coming home to Dayton, Ohio. New remix. Is something along those? He's a great competitor. He's awesome. I respect everything he does, but I'm leaving Iowa with the chair. No, on a real note, for real, I'm looking forward to this match. Like despite him being an asshole on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with Lindsay. Like he was I had him on here a few months back. He was such a nice guy. He's been very respectful. But even winning that remix title, which again, guys, make sure you get your tickets. It is going to be Tales from the Ring there. Saturday, September 21st, live from Clive, Iowa there. It will be that remix championship on the line. Lindsay defends against Jake Crist. But I don't know what it is with
I'm here to
Lindsay
make
now.
history, though, for real.
I
I'm here to make history, Lindsay. Like, yeah. I'm not looking past your friend. I'm not looking past the kitty cat guy. No, no. What I'm doing is like, bro, he is great. That's the big thing. You can't say that he's not. You can't say that he's not. I'm looking forward to having an amazing match with him to show the world what Jake Crist can do, because that's what I do. Every time I go out to the ring, I use it as a commercial to showcase the world of what they're missing. Like, I don't understand. It still blows my damn mind how, I'm still unsigned, floating around the Indies, and I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but I also feel like, my I could really help out a fine television company. Just saying. Just saying.
no, definitely again, companies that are out
I'm not
there.
trying to be big headed or say that's, but like, golly, can you freaking believe it's been 4 years? Shit.
Yeah, no, again, for any company out there that is possibly looking for what's next with Jake Crist, if they need an elite competitor right here, that's a fire starter that might be very entertaining competitor. Again, just different monikers there. You never know. You never know.
All about
That
it's all about
or a
the
company that needs some honor, possibly. You got Jake Crist right here.
yeah,
So
absolutely. I can bring some elite to that, some um, elite talent to that ring for sure.
definitely so. But now we touched on it a bit. What we want to get into this is that bare boards matchup there. It was bare boards and bull rope, which when this was announced, I was like, this is gonna be insane. And when Sammy confirmed it was the main, I'm like, oh, this just gets to have as much time as needed here. This was gonna be a war. And knowing again how this feud has been between yourself, Ace Austin, and the crew, just the despicable acts that they've been doing, knowing what's been going on.
They broke Bobby's leg. They broke my wife's leg. They broke Gia's arm. So I think Palmer had the coming ups, and for sure, I think it is all roads was leading to something insane. And when I heard it be announced that it was a bare boards bow rope, bull rope, I was kind of like, all right, that makes sense. And we did kind of escalate this this pretty quickly, and Palmer threw a hell a lot of on that fire. So I mean, I felt like it was kind of justified, and it was kind of one of those I've never seen this happen, this type of match happen in wrestling before.
Not especially not to this degree, like to be a match like this where we've seen the boards get we've seen rings get to that point where it's like take off the mat, take off everything, but to have it be this from the start and to have the bull rope there that just constructs you two to be nope, there's no escaping now. It's gonna be that fight.
It was really one of those like you can't run, you gotta face the actions, you gotta reap what you sow. And I've always feel like in my career going back to 2002, always feel like I've been a trendsetter, been an innovator. And I feel like that match had definitely some qualities that you're going to see others react, or
Oh no, definitely. There's definitely we're gonna see that match again on a television very soon. I can imagine someone's gonna be like,
even with
huh.
the boards being pulled to the ring from the guardrail and taking that crazy ass suplex bump. I still feel to this day. Um, it was not fun. Was not fun. I do not recommend. Please, kids, don't try that at home. Please, adults, please, the co-workers, if we ever wrestled on the show together,
Yeah, don't do it. Don't copy it.
If you are an inspiring professional wrestler, do not do that spot. It hurts. You know that Johnny Cash song, Hurt? Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that, a Nine Inch Nails song at first or some shit? Well, like, I know from Johnny Cash. That's exactly that song played in my head. That whole entire song played on my head when I was laying flat, attached to Palmer on the other end with the rope, like, hurt myself today.
And again, it's one of those
I
where you're going through this and you just see the carnage of, again, look at the blood there, what you guys are putting, and still decide, you know what? Even though we're tied together, I'm gonna still try a moonsault here.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
Like,
fucking.
like,
It's okay. It's those it's the level of difficulty that actually gets me going too. Like, gets me out of the bed, gets me wanting to perform. It gets me wanting to try new things, like the coast to coast cutter. There's so much margin for error
oh,
where it's like,
very.
I gotta time that. Like, your timing can't be off. Like, if it's off just a little tiny, like a hair off,
Yeah.
done. It's gonna be like, you know, which
That's
I've had
another thing
happen
that
before, which is crazy. I had that happen at the show that you were supposed to be at the Pancakes and Pile Drivers in New York City.
yeah.
I missed Joe Gacy. I missed Gacy. It was so hilarious because I was like, Sammy, he's not going to get up high enough for, like, I'm not going to be able to do this. Like, I'm not going to be able to get to him. And boy, was I right. Cause it's like one of those things. It's like, you got to time that, like, you got to jump. Like, as soon as
Yeah. It has to be.
if they don't jump high enough, like, you're not going to get it. So it was like
Yeah.
kind of one of those, like,
Uh,
uh, I was fucking just like, ah, that sucks.
and it's the worst part because it's like you say it in your head, like, I knew it. I knew this was gonna work, but damn it, it didn't work.
It wasn't going to work. Why didn't you fucking do me? And then you get to the back, it's like, yeah, everything's cool. It's whatever. It, as a performer, you gotta be like that. You just gotta forget about it. Cause like it might happen again, you know, like, luckily it never has and it never will happen again. But that's
Yeah.
the big thing that I like to do, is like those big, like the tombstone through uh, the boards. And like, there's such a tiny little, if you haven't torn down a ring, like, you don't realize the small space that I really had to get it go through. Like, and it was one, like, those are the things that I like. The suplex. There was so many things that could have, if it was a fraction of off, you know, it could be
Yeah, there's such a small
parallel.
margin for that error to just be
Should have
there.
been a fucking stunt man. Why wasn't I? Should have been a stunt guy. I should have been a stunt guy.
With how much you like risk, you really should have, because the amount of stuff and just that, watching that spot back, which again, guys, if you haven't, go check it out. Go to Thriller TV and rewatch that whole event because that show was stacked and insane. But watch that main and watch these two go at it because you just see the insanity. And then to do that, my knees just started to hurt immediately thinking about, yeah, let's do this tombstone and try to make sure we go through. And then also that means you're going straight to pavement.
Oh yeah, yeah. My knees hurt really, really bad after that.
Like, and
Like,
then
I
whatever
felt
was
like
also under the ring.
I felt like I had to grab some oil after just to get out of that. Like,
Oh man. But no,
yeah,
and again, that match though, it was needed, especially with everything that's going on. And that still has to go on because there's a certain member of the crew that's almost getting scot-free away. And there's a certain clip I wanted to play on here, which I would have loved if we were live because I know Tussle would have been reacting to it. But I got to play this for you here. And I hope the clip works because everything else is not working today. But we're going to play this clip and then get your reaction on a certain song right here. So we'll be right back. Ace Austin and Jake Crist. And like I said, I don't know. I don't think Jake's gonna be too happy with you, man. I don't think Jake's gonna be too happy with you.
I think your boy Jay Chris, by the time I'm done, he's gonna be like, look how they do me, 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 look how they doing 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 me. Yeah. Just look how they doing me. They trying to break my feet. Yeah. Look how the crew's doing me. Look how they doing me. Look how they doing me. Yeah, yeah, gonna break them knees and legs, baby.
So,
golly, that was beautiful. Even though he was talking about breaking my knees and my
Yes.
legs,
It's
Swanee, what's gotten into you, my boy?
and
What is wrong with him? What a beautiful, beautiful song.
that's the bad thing. That it's such a good song, but such a bad message because he's talking about possibly breaking your leg.
He's a heel. He's a heel. What an asshole. No, wow. I was smiling the whole time. My reaction's been a smile ear to ear, thinking about like what is Swan gonna sing next? Because he's the most talented individual I've ever ran into. I remember coming back to the CZW days, like when I first met Rich Swan. And I remember him having so much talent in his pinky toe than most of anyone and everyone in the locker room. And it's just the charisma. And then you realize like him learning to play the guitar, he just picks up an instrument and he plays it by ear. He played the piano by ear. He is the most talented individual that I've ever came across in all of life, not just wrestling, just all in life in general. And such a horrible message to me from an old friend and an old pal. I think he's still salty because I beat him for the X Division title.
That might have been a little bit of it. That might have been a little bit of it. I feel like it was
Look
Palmer.
how they doing me. Look how they doing me.
It's such a catchy song, but it's like Palmer and Shelly getting in his ear. We talked to him on here. He was such a nice guy, and then he gets to that part that I'm like, I don't think Jake's gonna like this.
No.
And it's like, it's such a nice song, but then you think about it, it's like, wait, he's making fun of trying to break my leg.
Trying to break my damn leg. He wants to take food out of not only my mouth, but the mouth of my family members, my 2 girls and my wife. He wants to take food out of all our mouths. Look how they doing. Look how you trying to do me, Juan. Look how you doing me. Look how you doing me, Swan. Hell, we'll be breaking my leg.
Oh man, I can't. That's something I can imagine anyone that is a fan of Revolver here is waiting. When Swan makes his way back, that's still something that needs to be crossed.
No, come on, bro. Let's go. You hear this, Sammy? Book it, pal. Let's book it, pal.
Oh man. But as we continue here, I'm gonna get to a little bit more of a harder question here that I want to see. Again, you kept mentioning it, 22 years in this business. Now, when you look at your career, can you pick that one match that defines your career so far? Because you're still going strong. But if you could look back in those 22 years, what would be a match that you say defines that career so far?
The next one.
Ooh. Okay.
The next one. Like legit. Like it's the next one. That's what keeps me going, man. For real.
I like it.
It's the next one, bro. It's whatever that may be.
I like that. See, that's been the first that I've gotten here when I asked that, because I started asking that question with Shelly, because I was like, you know what, I want to get into the deep minds of people and see, because it's hard to look when you look at your career to be like, oh, let's pick one, and it turns into multiple matches. But to hear that, that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
Especially again to keep it going, keep it
Yeah,
that
okay,
fine
so
line.
even to kind of like bring that back to pull the curtain a little bit, like
Yeah.
even like when I was talking about Indiana, that show,
Yeah.
Sanity Pro Wrestling, because I knew where that picture was taken, because I remember the Salvation Army that it was taken in.
Yeah.
So I remember coming home from that show, and it was around the time my favorite wrestler was Eddie Guerrero.
Okay.
You know, so it was like, he just passed away. So it was one of those deals where, like most fans, I feel like you go back and you watch your last wrestler's favorite, like your favorite wrestler's last match. So that's what I did, and it happened to be with Mr. Kennedy. Like the last television. I think that was his, the last match Guerrero had. I believe was with Mr. Kennedy. It was like a SmackDown.
Yep.
So like I went back and I watched it, being the big fan that I was, and I just remember thinking, like, if Eddie Guerrero knew that it was his last match, I bet you he wouldn't have wrestled it like that.
Ooh.
So like it just kind of like the light bulb clicked in my head, and it was just like, it doesn't matter if there's 10 people in the crowd, if there's 10,000 people in the crowd, I want to wrestle every match like it's my last. So like I've kind of adopted that mentality of like, my next one's going to be the one defining my career. That next one, it's always been the next one. That's why it's always, let's get as many bookings as I can. Let's keep rocking and rolling. Let's go to all these different states and cities and countries. Let's mark it. I want to go everywhere. I want to mark off every 50 state. I want to go to every country that I can possibly go to. So I really feel like being 22 years and aging like fine wine, looking at that photo, realized, man, like I still got 10, 15, 20. With modern day science, I could probably do this until I'm about, 2, 3, 400 years old,
Hey, stem cells are working. Stem cells are working. You never know.
I'll go to Mexico. I'll get shot up with some stem cells. I'm cool with that. Hit me in my face, hit me in my shoulder. I keep saying this too. Like, I'm gonna keep rocking and rolling until these wheels fall off. Until that's gonna be it. Like,
Gotcha.
I'll will myself out, and that's the goal. Like, the next one is going to define my career and who I am.
Got you. So as we start wrapping this up, brother, because I don't want to take up too much more of your time here. I usually ask the end goal question, but I know with how you've been speaking, I can imagine what that answer will be. So I want to ask this: to be able to again do this for as long as you've been doing it, going 22 years strong, what does it mean for you to now in this stage of your career to get to do it with one of your best friends, to get to do it a part of Wrestling Revolver and do it with Sami Callihan?
Just, I think everyone has the same goal and mentality, especially when they first start a company. But to be one of the very first guys to look at the locker rooms that Sammy's had, that Wrestling Revolver has had, and to look over both shoulders and realize that I'm still there, it's an honor and a privilege, and to be able to do that with my best friend, to see the growth of his company, and just to see it literally is like, you can, if you go outside and you look up at the sky, it literally is the top for Wrestling Revolver, I feel, because the production value, the booking, the stories, like the matches, like everything is just on point, and it's firing on all cylinders. Like we're legit a weld oil machine right now, and I feel like Sammy is the crazy mastermind doctor steering the ship. You know, it's awesome. I'm just happy to be able to see my good friend thrive in his business and his company. To see it from 2016 to where it is now is just, it's awesome. And I swear Revolver has an origin story, and I talked to Sammy about this in the past. Is American Luchacor in Bell Fountain. He was running shows when he was like 17, 18 years old, 19 years old. He's a kid. Like it was insane. I remember being on those shows and just being blown out of my mind, because in this business, when you have an act for it, and you know how to produce and how to attract people like Sammy Callahan has, and he's had that gift. I mean, you can't teach those things, and he's had this since he was 19. You know, since I've known him. I remember him walking in the HWA as Cannonball Sammy Callahan, and looking like Chris Farley and stuff. And I remember him asking me to watch his match and critiquing, and we did all that. And I remember the thing that that stood out to me, because I was a big forearm guy. I like, you know, I still like throwing forearms. You know, like that springboard AJ forearm is fucking so sweet. Like I'm gonna start doing that shit. Watch me. But anyways, I remember his forearms were kind of like flipperish. You know, they weren't really there. So I remember like what seemed like an hour just letting him fucking forearm me in the back until like he got it right. It probably wasn't that long, but that was one of the, that was like the first time I met Sammy, and we kicked it ever since. And I remember even dating, this kind of pulling back at how old we are. We would talk on AIM Messenger, like AIM. American Online. Mom, get off the phone. Hang up the phone. I'm trying to use the internet. Remember, man.
The good old days of the internet.
The good old days back in my time.
But no, it is great to see, and again, to be able to do this, and again to still do it at such a high level, and to do it with a great friend.
And that's
like
the big thing too, is like you know, showing Sammy, like a young Callahan, how to like form, and then he goes into being an awesome, like one of the best wrestlers in the world in CZW. I remember coming back for that first Best of the Best show and seeing how over Sammy Callahan was in the ECW arena. I swear to you, I've never heard a pop like that before. Like he had bigger pops in the ECW arena than the Sandman. I swear to God. I swear to God, back in those,
I believe it.
Those CZW, like, can't, like, Death Machine, Sammy Callahan, Best the Best, Sammy Callahan, this guy, like that dude. I'm telling you, like, it blew my mind. So it's like I still like ask for critiques and advice to Sammy. I'll call him up, like, hey man, what do you think about this idea? Hey bro, I was thinking about doing this. What you think? And then like he'll put his spin on it. Like, I think you like take this out, do this, blah blah. And that's, I feel like you have to step back and realize you put your pride to the side, and you realize people that are better than you. You're trying to. I surround myself with people that are better than me. I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. You know what I mean? Like, and if you are the smartest guy in the room, you need to take a look around and change up your room.
Yeah.
And to realize that our friendship has lasted this long, and to see how great Wrestling Revolver has become is it's awesome.
No, definitely. And again, it's one of those to see that creativity, to see just where his mentality is. It's why I gave him so much flowers the other day when I
I
finally had him on. Like,
I've said this in other interviews too. He's like our generation of like Paul Heyman, but like no, he's one of one. He's Sammy Callahan. Like you can't compare. Like he is one of those great minds for the business that you have to say, hey, he's like, an Eddie Graham. He's like a Paul Heyman.
yeah,
You go back in time in wrestling. I really feel like that's the legacy that Sammy's building with Revolver.
yeah,
The mastermind that he is, because he'll even, I believe he probably said this on your podcast, where it's like he would rather take a step in the back and just run the show and let others perform and get over.
yeah. No, that's something. Again, it's one of those where you see it where even at Revolver, it's not you don't see Sammy Callahan on every show, but you see that imprint of what he's doing.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it's one of those where to see that and to see again the mentality that he has for the business is one of those where I told him it's one of the reasons where me growing up as like I said, a fan of you both, but now getting into the business and now looking at it from a different way of now seeing the way you guys think about things and stuff like that, that's made me appreciate you guys more and become more of a fan of even that ethic and that mindset when it comes to all this.
Yeah, and the mindset of Sammy. That's why I still tap into it, man. Like I would literally, I would give him a call. Like if an idea crossed the mind, and I'm like on a route, I'll pick up the phone. But hey, bro, I got this idea. What do you think? And we'll build off that. Like I think it's great to have people like that in your life.
Definitely. No, you need to. You need to have that, especially in a business like this, to be able to continue to grow and continue to, again, find those ways. It's awesome.
And I know Sammy's got the best intention, too. Like he's not just gonna bullshit me either.
Yeah.
We got that kind of relationship. I'm not gonna bullshit him. He's not gonna bullshit me, which is great to have. In this industry, you run across a lot of bullshit on.
Definitely so. It's one of those where it's the unfortunate scenario. You're definitely going to get a lot of that. It's why, like we said, having to have those experiences like you did in Phoenix, and then learning from it and growing and seeing who are the people that actually have your best intentions and those that are going to be by your side this many years later, and still having that best intention for your growth and everything like that.
I always stick by that man's side. I always stick by Sammy's side. He's my boy.
There you go. But Jake, again, I thank you so much for joining us here. My apologies for this not being live, but again, we're gonna run this back. We're definitely gonna have to run this back. We'll see. We're gonna try to do that golden draw and have the Callahan Death Machine on here. So we'll get you both on here. But before I let you go, I want to remind everyone to go follow Jake Crist on all of his social media there. The Jake Crist right there on Instagram, at the Jake Crist there on X. Hopefully those accounts, hopefully social media is still working when we post this. Cause
it's not now.
It currently is not working. So again, when you guys do get to see this, it's going to be a less than a week away. Go check out Tales from the Ring. Wrestling Revolver returns to the Horizon Events Center in Clive, Iowa, as it will be for that Wrestling Revolver Remix Championship. Lindsay Dorado defends against Jake Crist, a stacked card featuring some of the best from Revolver and so much more. And again, Jake, thank you so much for joining us. And to everyone watching, don't forget to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people, respect the craft. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, everybody.